Russia's relentless onslaught on Ukraine continues. In the latest, the country's armed forces claiming that they attacked the Ukrainian forces from multiple directions, while Ukraine claimed it carried out In a statement, the Russian Defense Ministry said that it has launched strikes on the Ukrainian military in several regions, including Sumy, Kharkiv, Donetsk, Zaporizhia. It also added that fuel depots, launch sites for long-range drones and storage facilities housing Western supplied armaments belonging to the Ukrainian forces have been obliterated. On the other hand, Ukrainian armed forces claiming that they carried out an overnight strike on the Saratov oil refinery in southwestern Russia. In the midst of all this, Ukrainian president reacting to the latest wave of the Russian strikes, saying that if only the Russian president alone is interested in these killings, then this war remains solely his war, the war of Russia alone.
It is Putin alone who is interested in these killings. Every day this war remains solely his war, the war of Russia alone. And we expect the world to draw conclusions from this.
While the bloodshed and the chaos intensifies, ministers of the European Union met in Belgium to discuss the threat imposed by Russia following last week's drone incursion into Poland. The meeting also focused on whether Ukraine would be given the accession to the European Union. Several European Union ministers backed Ukraine, saying that NATO, especially the US, must come up with strong sanctions on Russia.
Attack NATO, and this is a fact, so we need to face that. So I do hope that President Trump as well understands that there is need to be made some actions about the sanctions, about increasing the pressure to Russia.
On the subject of making Ukraine a member of the European Union, Denmark said that making Ukraine a part of the EU is a top priority. On the other hand, Hungary is saying that they are not supporting Ukraine's accession into the EU.
Accession negotiations with Ukraine is very important. It's important for EU, and it is in particular important for the Danish EU presidency. It is one of our top priorities.
I work in a political environment, and the political environment in Hungary is that more than 70% of the Hungarians do not support continuing the accession process with Ukraine. This is a political reality that we have to take into consideration.
Amid all this, US President Donald Trump urging European nations to immediately stop buying oil from Russia in a bid to end Moscow's war with Kyiv.
I do, but here's the problem. You know the problem. They're purchasing Russian oil. I don't want them purchasing Russian oil, and they've got to stop immediately. Not fair to us. They're purchasing Russian oil, and we have to, do things.
The development, school children as young as 8 took part in a military training exercise in the southern part of Russia. Several children and teenagers could be seen running and crawling on their bellies as part of a route march. The Russian school children wearing camouflage uniforms were being trained on how to use weapons and throw hand grenades. The move is part of Moscow's initiative to educate young children in skills to equip them for eventual military service. Similarly, Lithuania is also training its school children on how to fly, assemble and program drones. The country's defense ministry said the training is part of building defensive capabilities. It also said children as young as 10 will be trained to operate first-person view quadcopter and single-wing drones.